Welcome back to the channel. This is Mark from Sound Matters. Do you want to get better sound from your records without having to upgrade your turntable? Well, of course you do. Today we've got 5 major upgrades that you can make to your turntable setup that will vastly improve the audio quality. Let's get straight into it. Number 1 on the list is a cartridge upgrade. This may seem obvious, but it is really the biggest bang for your buck upgrade that you can make, where you're going to see probably the most significant change in sound. It is, after all, the main voice of your turntable. It's the main sonic character is produced by that cartridge because, let's face it, it's the first point in the signal chain, so it stands to good reason that if we upgrade our cartridge, we're going to get a significant change, at least, in the audio quality, hopefully an improvement to your ears. Now, a lot of new turntables rather, come stock with models like the Audio-Technica VM95E, the Autophon OM5, or even the Audio-Technica ATN3600, which is incredibly cheap. All of these models are actually pretty good starting points. But, of course, we can make a significant uplift here, and any upgrade we make will ultimately come down in part to personal taste, but also what might be compatible with your turntable and the tone arm that is on your turntable. So make sure that you check with your manufacturer before making any significant change to the cartridge, because you don't want to choose a cartridge that is not compatible with your tone arm, or at least isn't complementary to your tone arm. So check with the manufacturer before you make any significant changes. Now, I really like the Autophon 2M series of cartridges because they are both accessible in terms of price, but also they have a really nice upgrade path. They have a very lively, energetic sound, but not everybody is a fan of this series. So if you don't like the kind of very energetic, almost slightly more energetic in the upper mid-range sonic character that you typically get from the Autophon 2M series, then you may actually prefer something like the Nagaoka series, like the Nagaoka MP110, for example. This is a much sort of fuller, warmer sounding cartridge compared to the Autophon kind of sonic characteristics. So a lot of it does come down to personal preference and what you think sounds good with your overall setup in context. Obviously, the models I'm mentioning are assuming you're making that first step upgrade in your journey, and it is a journey that can take you all the way up to very, very expensive moving coil phono cartridges, and that's a whole other topic in its own right. But the fact remains, if you want to have a significant upgrade to your turntable, then I would start here for the biggest bang for your buck. Obviously, don't go putting a $500 plus cartridge on a budget or affordable turntable for obvious reasons. This just doesn't make sense. I will put a list in the description of the video of some recommended cartridges that you can consider as that first step upgrade. Number 2 on the list is a simple Stylus upgrade, because making a significant change to your cartridge doesn't always have to involve changing the entire cartridge itself. Many popular models from Autophon, like the 2M series and also the VM series, have a significant Stylus upgrade path, so that you can easily swap these out without changing the entire cartridge itself. Perhaps the most popular is upgrading from the Autophon 2M Red, the base model, to the Autophon 2M Blue. Both of these cartridges essentially are the same body, so all you have to do if you've got an Autophon 2M Red is buy the 2M Blue Stylus, pop it onto the body, and boom, you've just upgraded your setup from a bonded elliptical stylus to a nude elliptical stylus for a significant upgrade in quality. But what does that mean, I hear you ask? Well, in short terms, a bonded stylus is attached to a metal shank which joins it to the cantilever. With a nude diamond, it is just one whole piece of diamond connected directly to that cantilever. The main benefit here is much lower mass. We can be more agile in the tracking process and therefore get a much more detailed sound. The high frequencies in particular become noticeably improved. There are also more advanced stylus shapes you might consider as part of your upgrade process. These more advanced shapes attempt to take the principle of an elliptical stylus and push it that much further so that we get more closely to the shape of the original cutting stylus used to cut master discs. The most common shapes you will see are things like fine line styli and also a ciabatta stylus. Taking the Ortofon 2M range as a example, again, the 2M bronze is their fine line option and the 2M black is a ciabatta stylus. When aligned correctly, these stylus shapes can significantly improve the audio performance, particularly in those high frequencies, once again, and in the inner grooves where things become much harder to track. The only real downside to them in general is that you really must get your alignment as accurate as possible if you're going to consider any of these shapes. They are much more picky and it's much less forgiving if you get the alignment off with these particular styli. Now, stylus shape is a whole other topic in its own right and could be an entire video, but these are some more sort of obvious upgrade paths that you can make that can significantly upgrade the sound of your turntable without having to buy an entire new turntable. Number 3 on my list is isolation for your turntable, and this is a multitude of different products that you could look at, but what's the significance here? Well, vibration getting back into your cartridge is the enemy of clear and pristine sound, so any vibrations that might be coming into contact with our turntable, we want to dampen as best we can. Perhaps one of the most obvious ways we can help here is with a change of things like platter mat or even the platter itself. I'm a real big fan of acrylic platter mats. You get this real sort of coupling effect that really helps manage and reduce vibrations when you've got an acrylic platter. You can buy acrylic platter mats. There's a multitude, of course, of different materials you can consider for platter mats beyond acrylic, but that is a whole conversation in its own right. I really like acrylic overall, and there are some more advanced platters that I would recommend. I'll put a list of recommended platters and also a link to my video specifically on the different platter mats and how they affect the sound. The kind of upgrade you consider will greatly depend on the turntable you have. Some models from people like Project, for example, have a clear upgrade path where you can take an aluminium platter and swap it out for an acrylic platter, and this will be a significant upgrade in sound with those particular turntables. If you can't get an acrylic platter, you can look at things like acrylic platter mats, as I kind of alluded to already. With my Technics deck, I actually really like the Sound Damp Steel model from Sound Deck. It's called the Sound Deck Platter Mat, and that is a superb option on Technics decks, where of course acrylic is not going to be an option for you. It's a big topic. I really do like acrylic, but I also like the Sound Damp Steel, as I say, on models like my Technics. So it does depend on your turntable as to what you might consider. Other products you might consider to further isolate your turntable are things like turntable isolation platforms. I'm actually considering one for my setup here, despite the fact that this particular record cabinet has natural isolation in the way that it's constructed. It's a purpose-made record cabinet that helps in this area, but an isolation platform would improve things further still. A really discreet product I like if you want something less noticeable is again from Sound Deck, these little discs you can buy made from Sound Damp Steel that you can put underneath the turntable feet, and it will greatly reduce the vibration getting underneath and up there, but without being obvious. You can kind of slide them underneath those feet and they are not very noticeable at all. If you want a living room friendly setup, these are a good option for you. Number 4 on the list is an upgrade to our Phono Preamp. Now, if you're using a built-in Phono Preamp in particular that comes with your turntable, many entry-level turntables will have one of these, then okay, you're going to get fairly decent sound. It's going to get you started, but we need a Phono Preamp, of course, somewhere in our signal chain, and the better that Phono Preamp is at correcting the RIAA equalization curve, the better it's going to sound. In my experience, built-in or very budget Phono Preamps have, they do okay, but you'll generally find them to be, in comparison to a separate purpose-built Phono Preamp, you'll find that the sound is a little bit flat, a little bit lifeless, a little bit lacking in kind of energy and enthusiasm. So just by upgrading the Phono Preamp to a separate Phono Preamp, we can get a significant uplift again in our sound quality here. I would consider, if I was on a budget, I would consider models from Fosse. I'll put a link in the description below to all of these. Things like the Shipmani 2, for example, is worth considering, and models from people like iFi I really like as well that I've reviewed on the channel. There's the JDS Labs Atom Phono that I've reviewed, which is still behind me here, and if you want something a little bit more boutique, then consider models from Michael Fiddler's Classic Audio company. All do a fantastic job, have pros and cons in their own right. Links in the description so you can check them out for yourself, and there are reviews of lots of different Phono preamps on this channel. Number 5, and the last one on my list, is something that you should consider after you've taken care of all the other factors, and that is to add the icing on the cake, as it were, to get yourself a record weight or a record clamp. Now, you know, opinion is divided as to how much of a difference these really make. I really do think they make a difference, but it is optimization. It's not revolution. So don't go putting a weight or a clamp on your turntable and expect a absolutely eye-opening change, you know, a veil being lifted type experience, but they do help to optimize the performance after you've taken care of all the other factors. So how does it work? Well, essentially, you know, you're improving the contact of the record between the record and the platter or the platter mat. This helps to reduce unwanted resonance, helps stabilize playback, and in some cases helps to kind of control or reduce or mitigate minor warps. It improves that contact, and that's what we want. We want a nice solid contact with the platter surface, and if we get this right, and you know, these products do really help in this area, what you'll generally get is tighter bass performance, better and clearer mids, and just generally less potential for things like slippage that might contribute to things like wow and flutter or any minor speed inconsistencies. It just helps to tighten things up and just optimize the performance. But like I say, don't expect miracles here. This is the icing on the cake, but they don't cost very much for a half decent one. Be careful of record weights that are too heavy, because they can put unnecessary strain on belts and bearings and things like that. But I think when they're moderate in weight, they can really help improve things and just, you know, optimize that whole performance. If you are worried about weight in general, then clamps are generally lighter and may take that worry away from you. Again, links in the description of the models that I personally recommend and use myself. Thanks for watching. Of course, links to all the products I have mentioned are in the description of this video, and if you want to help me further at this channel, there are discount codes that you can take advantage of. I get a very small commission for what you buy, but there's no extra additional cost to you. It's a real win-win. There's also my Patreon where you can get bonus content, join my community over there as well, and thank you to all of those who choose to support me there already. If you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. But until the next video, guys, keep enjoying the music, keep spinning those records, and I'll see you in that next one. Cheers.